It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Monday's Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. On this, the 13th day of May 2024, coming to you from Bedford County, Virginia, Central Virginia area near Lynchburg. Cool morning. It was actually, when I got up this morning, it was really cold in the house again. And we've been running air conditioner when it was up in the upper 80s. So I looked at the thermostat, and I mean, it was down to like, 60, 66, I think it was. So I had to crank the heat on for, an hour to get me so I could get in the shower. It was so cold. Anyway, it's back off now, so we didn't run it very long. All right, we got a whole bunch of news stories today, guys. The lead story this morning is Skagway objects to Crown Prince's story. And kind of associated, but not directly, Radiance of the Seas to tender in Skagway. Also today, we're going to discuss a crewman overboard during an emergency drill. A rescue from Utopia of the Seas. Goodness, they're just on their sea troughs in a rescue already. Carnival anticipates return to Baltimore. Firenze adjusts arrival times. Majorca plans to limit cruise ships, and lots more here at 11 o'clock this morning. I did notice that Hot Air Tom is in the waiting room of a doctor's office, and that was about 5 minutes till, and said I'll be driving to work when the show starts. Oh man, I hope your doctors are faster than mine are, because I don't ever get out of an exam room that quick. So anyway, all right, today, folks, is National Apple Pie Day. I like apple pie. I mean, who doesn't like apple pie? Not my favorite, but clearly, if there's an apple pie, I'm happy to have some. Love it with a little vanilla ice cream. So I don't mind apple pie whatsoever. If you're listening via the podcast, welcome aboard. You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from, all the big guys, the big hitters. All you have to do is search for travel and cruise industry news, and up pops the fat travel guy. All right, I got an announcement for tomorrow's show. I got a very special guest scheduled for tomorrow. That's my buddy, Justin, Mr. Bucket List, who hasn't been on this show for, probably since he and I went to Alaska 2 years ago. I don't think Justin's been on anytime last year. I don't know. I can't remember. He's been on the show several times, and he's been in the chat room a bunch of times. So Mr. Bucket List is going to be with us. I got a bunch of bones to pick with Mr. Bucket List on some of the things he's been able to do this past year, as he surpassed me in almost every way possible with traveling. And that's great. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good time. All right, a couple of things before we get to the news. Bubba and Lynn Schumard got on an airplane, flew up to Canada, up to Vancouver. And in Vancouver, they got on a Holland America ship. The New Amsterdam. Now, there's some interesting ties to me in the New Amsterdam, but they got on it. I don't know if this might have been the first sailing of New Amsterdam this season. It may be. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, that's just one of the most outstanding pictures I've ever seen of Bubba and Lynn up in Alaska. Now, the interesting tie to this to me is some of you know that Nate was handling Alaska cruises for Alaskans. I mean, since he's an Alaska resident. And it was a big promotion. And it's on 2 Holland America ships, the New Amsterdam and the Nordam. And I've managed to book, I don't know the number as it sits now. It's still available to Alaska residents. Something like 130 cruises that I booked. But more than half have been on New Amsterdam. So I got New Amsterdam people sailing all the way up until the last cruise in September, the last sailing from Anchorage back to Vancouver. But these are a couple more pictures that they sent up. This was, I'm not even sure where that was. That's the veterans meeting on board the ship. Looks like a pretty good turnout for that. This was in Anchorage. So you can tell it's the weather up there is cold still. This was in Kodiak. They went to some of the ports that I've not been to. This was sailing into Valdez. And yeah, that looks pretty cold and miserable and snowy to me. And then they went out to the Valdez Brewing. And Lynn said that it's the best root beer she'd ever had. Of course, Frank, Bubba, I call him Bubba, is drinking a real beer. But anyway, that's the Valdez Brewing in Valdez, Alaska. So a few things from Lynn and Bubba. All right, so and I've promised for several days now that I was going to try to catch up with Rochelle. She was in Abu Dhabi. And, she did the segment of the World Cruise, and I think this might be where she got off. I need to try to get a hold of her and see if I cannot talk her into doing an interview with me to talk about some of the things that she's been able to do. I mean, Abu Dhabi obviously is a modern, beautiful city. Of course, it's all traditional over there. Lots of things to see, lots of things to buy. Of course, they're wealthy because of all the oil. But then there's a mosque. And, Rochelle she's the church expert. I mean, if it's Catholic, she's been there. And it's a chance to go to a mosque. So she did that, which I'll get to a picture that shows that in a second. I'm not sure what this guy is. That's a vendor someplace. The first thing I looked at I said, is that pizza? Then I looked at it again. Is that a giant cookie? Or is that just something that's just totally not distinguishable to me? Not sure what it is, but I'd try it. Good heavens. Lots of jewelry. This is at the Emirates Palace of Abu Dhabi. That's a ceiling. And I promise you, folks, that's not painted gold. That's probably the real McCoy. and that's the big dude. One of the scenes there in the palace. And this was what she had to do to go into the mosque. They're very strict on women over there as far as you got to have your head covered, you got to wear long dresses, you're not allowed to converse with men. All those rules are put in place, even if you're visiting. So, folks, if you don't want to go along with the culture and the rules in countries like that, then just don't go. But obviously, Rochelle, with her experience now, knows what to do. So she can get a chance to go inside the mosque and appreciate what another religion does. So good for her. Anyway, that's a picture of the mosque from the outside. All right. So again, I'd love to get Rochelle to come sit and chat, even if she doesn't want to do a live show. I think she gets just nervous at the thought of being interviewed. Well, so maybe I can talk her into taping it, and it'll just be she and me talking, and just like we would at the dinner table on the cruise. She and I sat at the same dinner table. I don't even remember which ship it was. Maybe is that all the way back to when I was on, I believe that was on Navigator of the Seas out of Los Angeles, maybe. So I know that was the cruise that I met Libby. Libby's a travel agent from Tahiti or someplace like that. She was on that cruise. And I'm pretty sure that was the one that I met Rochelle on. So, I mean, Rochelle and I have been friends now. That's 2 years ago. So she's been able to do an awful lot. And of course, she also does a lot with casinos offerings too. So I don't know if she'll be comfortable talking about that. But anyway, I'd like to talk to her about some of the travels and some of the things she's done. It's just amazing. So, all right. So the top news story today, folks. We'll get started with what I'm supposed to be doing here. How's that sound for a change? The Skagway Tourism Department replied and objected to my story from Friday concerning the cancellation of the Crown Princess visit. In its place, Crown Princess would visit Haines, Alaska. I implied in both the story on the show and the follow-up short video that the reason for the cancellation was a lack of completion of the floating dock project in Skagway. The Skagway Tourism Department corrected me. The floating dock project is on schedule to be completed by May 17th, and Crown Princess made the change to visit Haines instead of Skagway due to weather issues. I pride myself in the factual accuracy of all of my reporting, so when something like this happens, I'm the first to own it. My apologies to Skagway for the inaccuracy of my report, and I have removed the video. Now, borderline similar story, because this, in fact, alludes to the same thing. So keep in mind, before I do the second story, that the dock is supposed to be completed on Tuesday, because that Tuesday? Anyway, whatever the day was. That also adds some impetus to this story that came directly from Radiance of the Seas and Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean has notified her guests that due to the port construction in Skagway, Radiance of the Seas will be docked at a different pier. To ensure the safety of guests and crew in an area known for rock slides, all guests will be tendered into the harbor. This is just a minor inconvenience for many cruisers, but not so for wheelchair and scooter users. This is a major roadblock. Unless the guests have a fold-up wheelchair and can walk a few steps, they will not be allowed ashore. No one in the disability community likes to be told, no, you cannot do that. That goes against our DNA, especially if the ship was docked at a different pier, wheelchair and scooter users could go ashore. I'm very distraught for the members of my community that are on Radiance of the Seas. Now, the reason that I worded the story that way, number one, I'm upset over the folks that are disabled on that ship that can't go ashore. So somebody said, well, just stay on the ship. Yeah, well, that's fine. But everybody else can go ashore. So the disabled community is made to be a second-class citizen. If you pay $1,000 for a cruise and you can go ashore and I pay $1,000 for the same cruise and they say, no, you cannot go. Yeah, I got a problem with that. Now, I don't want to take it away from you. And I realize that I'm disappointed constantly over the fact that there aren't accessible excursions that I can take. And I'm used to that. But it just bothers me that they would do this so they can tender in. I don't know why that decision was made. And from what Royal Caribbean said, maybe the folks in Skagway need to inform them that this project's going to be over Tuesday. And if it does, in fact, open up the floating dock, then the next time that Radiance is in town, they won't have to tender. But still, the case is that, the first people that get left out are the disabled community. And I'm opposed to that attitude. So, and I understand it. I'd be the first one to want to go ashore in Skagway because some of my fondest moments have been on excursions from Skagway. So I'd be upset and I'd not be able to go because they don't have a tender up there that's accessible. Another thing they could do is, get a tender boat that's accessible. Norwegian did. All right. I'll be back with several more stories after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. A crew emergency drill on Carnival Venezia unexpectedly turned into a real rescue operation after a crew member went overboard while the cruise ship was docked at Charlotte Amalie in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. The incident happened on May the 10th during a routine drill which crew performs weekly. Typically, these drills are conducted when most passengers disembark at a port of call. St. Thomas was the first port of call on the ship's current sailing an 11-day Eastern Caribbean voyage from New York. Carnival Venezia departed the Big Apple on May the 6th. The crew member involved was not participating in the drill, but was performing maintenance at the aft of the ship when he fell overboard. The ship's officers immediately launched a rescue boat and retrieved the crew member. An announcement was made over the ship's PA system, informing everyone that this emergency situation was not part of the drill. The ship's rescue boat, a small yellow craft that can be launched quickly and maneuvered easily, was immediately brought into service, sped to the crew member's position in the water. He was easily taken aboard and did not appear to have any severe injuries. The French Rescue Services executed an emergency medical evacuation of a worker from the cruise ship Utopia of the Seas during her sea trials in the Atlantic Ocean. On Saturday, May 11th, emergency services responded to a medevac request of an injured worker aboard the new cruise ship off the Brittany's south coast. The Atlantic Maritime Prefecture reported that at 4:21 p.m., the cruise ship, located 8 nautical miles off the coast of Belia, reported an injured person on board. The Regional Operational Surveillance Unit and Rescue Center coordinated the operation, deploying a helicopter and hoisting the patient. The injured worker was then transported to a hospital. The Utopia of the Sea started its sea trials on May the 10th, just 10 weeks before its official introduction in Port Canaveral, Florida. Are you ready to explore the stunning landscapes of Alaska? Don't let limited mobility hold you back from exploring all that Alaska has to offer. Book your mobility rental now and ensure you get the most out of your trip. Whether you want to visit majestic glaciers, spot wildlife, immerse yourself into the rich culture of the last frontier, or simply enjoy all that your ship has to offer, having the right mobility equipment can make a difference. Don't wait until it's too late. Secure your rental today and get ready for an unforgettable adventure. Call 1-888-441-7575 or email info@scootaround.com and use code CHILLIE, CHILLIE, for the best rates available. I'll add one thing to that, folks. I rented the scooters for years. I was almost 10 years that I used Scootaround scooters. Now I use a Will power chair. Will owns Scootaround. You can rent wheelchairs just as easily as scooters. Just whatever your needs are, tell the agent you talk to, and you can possibly get a chair just like mine if you need a chair as opposed to the scooters. And I've laughed about it over the years. I was not stable on the scooters because of my weight. Okay, which caused me to flip the thing twice, if you recall. Once on St. Thomas and once in Cozumel. I don't have that trouble with my chair. I have much more stability because I'm sure I'm not any skinnier. But anyway, just thought I'd throw that in. Carnival Cruise Line has reached out to guests booked on the May 19th departure of Carnival Pride with an optimistic update that the ship may return to Baltimore on that sailing. This comes immediately after guests aboard the May 12th cruise were informed that they would both start and end their sailing in Norfolk. The difficult part is that the May 19th cruise will likely still begin in Norfolk, but will return to Baltimore at the end of the voyage. This will create some logistic difficulties for travelers, but the cruise line is planning chartered buses to assist travelers between the home ports. Furthermore, passengers who are driving to the port for embarkation are advised to drive to Baltimore and use the shuttle service to Norfolk so they do not need to return to Virginia to pick up their vehicles after the cruise. Carnival has also reached out to guests on the much anticipated May 26th 14-night voyage to Greenland. It now seems likely both the beginning and the end will be in Baltimore as originally scheduled. To be clear, Carnival Cruise Line has not yet confirmed those plans owing to the unprecedented nature of the situation, and more information will be provided closer to the departure dates. If you're booked on any of these cruises, folks, make sure you stay in constant touch with Carnival Cruise Line. Carnival Cruise Line has reached out to book guests on 13 different sailings of the new Carnival Firenze to alert them of itinerary changes. While the ship's overall itineraries are not altered, she will now be returning to home port of Long Beach, California later than originally planned. This could have dramatic impact on travelers' pre-cruise and post-cruise arrangements, particularly if flights are necessary, and may likewise impact embarkation for the next cruises. The return time to Long Beach will be 9 a.m. The affected sailing dates in 2024 are the ship's August 24th and 31st departures, every cruise in September, October, and the November 2nd departure. In 2025, 2 additional cruises will have the same delay, March 25th and April 7th sailings. On each now changed cruise, Carnival Firenze was originally scheduled to return to Long Beach at 8 a.m. While the change is only 1 hour, this could still cause difficulties for travelers who may have arranged for early flights from Long Beach, Los Angeles, or other regional airports. Authorities in Majorca are moving forward with proposals to renew restrictions that prevent large cruise ships from docking in Palma, the capital of the largest of Spain's Balearic Islands. The plan, awaiting final approval from the Balearic Islands Port Authority and Palma City Council, call for the renewal of a 2022 agreement reached between the city and CLIA that caps the daily arrival of cruise ships to 3, with only 1 allowed to carry over 5,000 passengers. Are you a Norwegian Epic fan? If you are, why not join me on a cruise with Chillie, New NCL Epic transatlantic from New York to Rome, sailing March 31st. It's a fantastic itinerary, stopping in Bermuda, Ponta Delgada, Lisbon, Barcelona, Cannes, Florence, Naples, and ending in Rome. Starts at $16.83 per person, double occupancy. That includes taxes and port charges. That's the transatlantic NCL Epic, sailing March 31st from New York. Call me 434-258-9264. And that brings to a conclusion the news portion of today's show. So let's go see if Hot Air Tom ever got out of the doctor's office. Let's see who's with us today. There's Hot Air Tom in the doctor's office. Michelin Asics says hello. Hello to you too. Cindy is with us. Good morning, Cindy. Bob's here. Hi, Bob. Saw the Northern Lights. Yeah, I backhandedly saw them. I meant to talk about that earlier. Amanda and Melinda, who painted, let's see, this is this finger up there. Melinda painted Brat the cat and Max the dog. And she's also Amanda's studio mate. So Melinda and her husband, Bon, and Amanda went up on the peaks of Otter, somewhere up there on the mountaintop where it was away from light pollution, and were able to take some pretty neat pictures of the aurora borealis. I did not get up in the middle of the night and go driving. The meds that I take, and the time that I have to get up in the morning to take morning meds, I go to bed earlier than that. And just to get up at, midnight and go out driving, would have been an accident looking for a place to happen. So I enjoyed what all of you folks saw and the pictures that you shared with it. Just knowing that I could have seen it had I gotten away, because here at the farm itself, the north direction is completely trees. So, I'd have to get away from the farm to actually see that and get out of all the light pollution from, the Lynchburg area and the forest area. So, but yeah, Bob, I'm glad you got a good view of it down there in Tennessee. Hi, Katie. There's Katie this morning. Northern Lights were spectacular. Very good, Bob. In the car going to get meds. Well, you did get out of there pretty quick. 11:03. That was 3 minutes into the show. Has the show started yet? Yeah, I started right on time. 11:00 is when I went live. Kenneth's with us up in Pennsylvania. Roger's here down in Jacksonville, getting ready for Switzerland trip today. Man, that's going to be great. You're going to have to, Roger, you're going to have to get somebody to post pictures that I can steal and use them on the show. Uh, you know, so yeah, get some pictures up, Roger. I'm looking forward to traveling in your mind, as it were. Roger and son, I'm not sure who else is going, but definitely his son, are going to Switzerland. So Cindy says 13 days until the Seashore Yacht Club. I'm packed already. Oh, that's disgusting. I never pack until the night before the cruise, the night before I leave. Never. I don't know. I don't want the suitcase in the way. And usually my clothes are dirty. I got to do the laundry. I'm glad you can get that far ahead, Cindy. And I tried, oh my goodness, I tried 18 kinds of ways to get on either one of your two seashore cruises, and just between obligations here and coinciding with medical, I couldn't do it. So, Hot Air Tom says, Ken, only 2 business class seats left on that April 16th, 9 a.m. flight. Yeah, that's, I'm still a little bit worried about our ability to get where we got to be that day. So, but anyway, that's going to be, that's tighter than I like to cut it. But it's the only choice we have. Ocean Key updates are supposed to be done by the 22nd. Fingers crossed. All is done in time for my cruise. Yep. And I have not heard a word on that yet. So if you get any news updates, yeah, hoping for no delay. Let me know. Oh, I was absolutely on that. There's Gretchen out in Ohio. Todd's with us. Good morning, Todd. Great show today. Thank you very much. Katie says, Roger, have a wonderful time. So does Gretchen. Yeah, we all agree on that, Roger. We love seeing you going. And I know that's what Nikki would have wanted too. So I'm glad to see you're out and making the best of it. So we're behind you all the way. I just hope you can share some of it with us. Katie says, canceling a Thanksgiving cruise and moving cruise to one over New Year's. Cindy says, enjoy, Roger, as well. There's Mike. Hi, Mike. And Joanne says, howdy. The one with the beard is going with me. Yeah, that's one hell of a beard too, I'll tell you. I enjoyed getting to meet with them. I enjoyed getting together with Roger again. Yeah, that's, I don't know, we've done that 4 or 5 times over several years. So that was a great stop, and one that I will be doing again sometime soon, I hope. Hot Box Ghosts. I typically go on Disney cruises, but wanting to go to Hawaii. Any recommendations on a cruise line for that trip? Something with decent sized rooms. Thanks. All right. So, if I can recommend, if you can put on your calendar to be here tomorrow at 11 o'clock. My guest tomorrow is Mr. Bucket List, and he just got back from Hawaii. So he'll have some of the latest scoop. He also did the Pride of America while he was over there. I'm not sure how his travel went, if it was a cruise over or a cruise back. Anyway, we'll get all that. We'll get all those details from from Mr. Bucket List tomorrow, from Justin. Yeah. So if you can be with us tomorrow, we might get some information for you on that direct that just happened. I have not cruised to Hawaii. I've been to Hawaii several times, but not on a cruise ship. So Roger said the one you didn't meet is going on the Alaska cruise in July. Very good. Katie says a few weeks away from a cruise on Allure. Well, Katie, you know we enjoy your shenanigans when you get out there cruising. All right, guys, that's the other thing that I didn't mention this morning when I was going through the news about Justin being with us tomorrow, Mr. Bucket List. This afternoon, no, tomorrow afternoon, after I do the interview with him, tomorrow afternoon, I get to go get that stupid shot that they misscheduled me on 2 weeks ago. So tomorrow, I think it's at 2 o'clock or something. So it's well after the show. I have to go get a needle stuck in my butt, to be perfectly gauche about it. But that's what they do. So it's called a Lupron injection. It's part of my chemo business. So Hotbox says, thanks. I'll try to watch tomorrow. Hotbox Ghost. All right. It's good to have you with us. I think it's terrific that we're getting some people from X that are also cruisers. So that's just awesome. So I'm glad you joined in the chat room and become one of our regulars. It'd be great. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. I'll be back same time, same channel tomorrow at 11 o'clock for Tuesday's Travel and Cruise Industry News with a special guest, Mr. Bucket List, who's just back from Hawaii. And then he stopped in California, did several things in California before he got back to his digs in Florida. So we're gonna pick his brain on a bunch of stuff tomorrow. In the meantime, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see everybody tomorrow morning.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.